All right, so get ready, because today we're taking a deep dive into the world of Lainey Wilson,
Oh, yeah.
because she's about to kick off her Whirlwind Tour, and we're going to break down all the details for you.
Yeah, and you know what's really interesting here?
Mhm.
Is just the scale of this tour.
Right.
It's not just like a few dates here and there. This is like a full-blown cross-continent musical journey.
Exactly, and especially for our listener who's in Ohio.
Right.
I know you're thinking about that Blossom show.
Oh, for sure.
But this tour is massive.
It is.
It kicks off overseas in the UK and Ireland first,
Wow.
before even hitting North America and all these major cities,
Bro.
including this huge stop at Madison Square Garden in New York.
Huge.
It's a really interesting choice to start internationally, don't you think?
I think it's really interesting. I think it speaks to just the growing global appeal of country music in general,
Right.
but also Lainey Wilson's own rising star power.
Yeah.
You know, she's playing the massive country-to-country festival over there, which is like their version of like, Stagecoach
Right.
or CMA Fest. So
Wow.
huge deal.
Okay, so she's already Grammy nominated,
Yeah.
blew up on Yellowstone,
Mm-hmm.
and now she's taking on the world.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the new album that's fueling this whole adventure.
Okay.
Her new album is called Whirlwind.
Whirlwind. Yeah, it's been getting some great reviews.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Brits in Boots, which is a well-respected UK country music publication,
Okay.
called it authentically country while still feeling fresh and modern.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah,
So it's not just like your typical twangy country.
right.
There's something a little bit more there.
Yeah, exactly. One song that really highlights this is Hang Tight Honey.
Okay.
It's got this infectious, almost poppy energy to it
Oh,
that I think could appeal to a lot of people, even those who don't typically listen to country.
gotcha.
Should we take a quick listen?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay.
That is catchy.
Right.
Yeah, I can see why that one's getting a lot of attention.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, speaking of attention, let's dive into this monster tour map.
Okay, let's do it.
I already mentioned Blossom Music Center.
Yes.
It's our Ohio listener.
Yeah.
But she's hitting all kinds of venues,
She is.
all over the place.
It's a variety.
Yeah.
For sure.
So you've got massive arenas like Ball Arena in Denver,
Yeah.
iconic amphitheaters like Red Rocks,
Right.
even that legendary Madison Square Garden show in New York City.
Yeah. It's really cool.
It's a mix of huge venues and then some more intimate settings as well.
Exactly.
And then let's not forget all these festival appearances.
Oh, yeah.
Barefoot Country Music Fest, Cavendish Beach Music Festival.
Mm-hmm.
Those are just a couple
Yeah, just to name a few.
of the big ones on her schedule.
Right.
I gotta say, looking at these festival lineups,
Yeah.
it's really interesting to see the blend of artists that she's sharing the stage with.
It really is. You've got everything from like established country stars like Jason Aldean, Jelly Roll,
Yeah.
to like up-and-comers like Priscilla Block,
Yeah.
Bailey Zimmerman,
Yeah.
and then you throw in names like Kid Rock and Megan Thee Stallion.
Oh, wow.
It's quite the mix.
Yeah, Kid Rock and Megan Thee Stallion on the same bill as Lainey Wilson.
Yeah.
Talk about crossing genre lines.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, before we get too deep into the festival scene,
Okay.
we wanted to take a moment to remind you to like and subscribe
Yes.
to The Deep Dive for more deep dives into all sorts of fascinating topics.
Please do.
Now back to Lainey Wilson and her impressive lineup of special guests joining her on tour.
Okay, cool.
You're talking about artists like Muscadine Bloodline,
Oh, yeah.
known for their hit Porch Swing Angel,
Mm-hmm.
Ernest, who's made waves with flower shops.
Huge song.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not to mention some really great up-and-comers like Zach Bryan, Drake Milligan, Ian Munsick.
Oh, yeah. Great artists.
They're all bringing their own unique sounds to the tour.
For sure.
And for our listener in Ohio,
Yes.
there's a special treat.
Okay.
Lauren Watkins is opening for Lainey at the Blossom Music Center show.
Oh, that's awesome.
Now, for our listener, have you heard Lauren Watkins' music before?
I haven't actually.
Oh, okay.
No.
Her song Grain of Salt has been making some noise.
Oh, we have to check that out.
What do you think about her music?
I actually haven't had a chance to check her out yet.
Okay.
Should we give it a listen?
Yeah, let's give it a listen.
All right.
What are your initial thoughts?
Wow. I can definitely hear why she's opening for Lainey Wilson.
Yeah.
She's got a really cool, soulful vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting some early Casey Musgraves vibes,
Oh, wow.
which is a huge compliment in my book.
That's a great comparison.
Yeah.
All right, so we've covered the album.
Yeah.
We touched on the tour's massive scope
Mm-hmm.
and even got a taste of a supporting act.
We did.
It's safe to say Lainey Wilson is on an upward trajectory, right?
Absolutely. She's riding a wave of success right now, and this tour is only going to amplify that.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we need to talk about these festival appearances in more detail because the lineups are wild.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like we teased a few names earlier.
Right.
But there's so much more to unpack.
Yep.
I'm looking at the Barefoot Country Music Fest lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Aldean Brooks and Dunn Riley Green.
Wow.
It's a who's who of country music.
It really is.
And then you have festivals like Faster Horses,
Okay.
which include a more diverse lineup.
Okay.
Shania Twain, Luke Bryan, and even Pitbull.
Wow.
It's a fascinating reflection of how country music is evolving and attracting a wider audience.
It's true. And to think Lainey Wilson is right in the thick of it.
She is.
Sharing the stage with these massive names.
It's huge.
What do you think this says about her place in the current country music landscape?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It suggests she's not just appealing to the traditional country music fan base, but also reaching a broader audience, one that's open to genre blending and new sounds.
Okay, so she's breaking down barriers and making waves. But before we get too far into analyzing the state of country music,
let's shift our focus back to the tour itself.
Okay.
I'm looking at the dates, and it's clear that she's hitting a mix of major cities and smaller markets. What do you think is the strategy behind that?
That's an insightful observation. It seems like she's trying to connect with fans from all walks of life, not just those in the big urban centers.
Yeah.
It speaks to her authenticity and desire to build a genuine connection with her audience, regardless of where they live.
That's a great point. She's not just chasing the bright lights.
Exactly.
She's going out there and meeting her fans where they are.
Exactly. And I think that's a big part of her appeal. She's relatable, she's down to earth, and she's not afraid to get her boots dirty.
Yeah.
Both literally and figuratively.
I love that. All right, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
We have.
From Lainey Wilson's background and the buzz around Whirlwind to the sheer scale of her upcoming tour and the diverse lineups at these festivals.
Yeah, it's been quite a whirlwind indeed.
Speaking of Whirlwind, let's take a closer look at some of these festival appearances.
Okay.
Because as we mentioned, the lineups are truly wild.
They are.
We'll be right back after a quick break.
Sounds good. Yeah, these festival lineups really are something else. Like, for example, Windy City Smokeout in Chicago.
Okay.
They've got a great mix of kind of traditional country acts like Zach Bryan. And more rock-leaning artists like Turnpike Troubadours.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's like country music is becoming this big tent.
It is.
Welcoming all sorts of sounds and influences. And Lainey Wilson, with her blend of classic and contemporary styles, she fits right in.
Absolutely. And think about the exposure she's getting playing these festivals.
Yeah.
She's sharing the stage with some of the biggest names in music, not just country.
Yeah.
So that's going to be huge for her career.
Yeah, it's like a crash course in winning over new fans.
Exactly.
Speaking of reaching new audiences, we have to talk about that Country to Country festival in the UK and Ireland.
Massive.
It's massive over there.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about Lainey Wilson that's resonating with these international fans?
I think her authenticity plays a big role.
Okay.
You know, she's not trying to be someone she's not. She's just being herself. And that comes across in her music.
It's like what you see is what you get.
Exactly. And I think people appreciate that no matter where they're from.
Yeah.
But you also have to consider the Yellowstone effect. Her role on that show introduced her to a whole new global audience.
Oh, for sure. That show's a phenomenon.
It is.
And her character, Abby, is such a fan favorite. She's tough, independent, and has a heart of gold.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar, right?
Yeah, there are definitely some parallels there.
Right.
But you're right. The exposure from Yellowstone has undoubtedly contributed to her success.
Yeah.
It's given her a platform to showcase her personality, which, as we've discussed, is a big part of her appeal.
Okay, so we've got the talent, the authenticity, the Yellowstone bump. It all adds up to a recipe for success.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, what do you think sets Lainey Wilson apart from other rising country stars? What makes her stand out in such a crowded field?
Oh, that's a great question. I think it's her ability to bridge the gap between traditional and contemporary country. She's got that classic country sound. But she's not afraid to experiment with different genres and influences.
She's like a modern-day outlaw blazing her own trail.
Exactly, and her songwriting is top-notch. She's got a knack for telling stories that resonate with people, whether it's about heartbreak resilience or just the everyday struggles of life.
Her songs have that real lived-in quality to them.
They do.
Speaking of real pop, we can't ignore the fact that she's a woman in a genre that's still dominated by men.
Right.
Do you think that's a factor in her appeal?
I think it is. She's a strong, independent woman who's not afraid to speak her mind. And I think that resonates with a lot of people, especially women.
She's a role model, showing that women can make it in country music on their own terms.
Absolutely. And she's doing it with grace, humor, and a whole lot of talent.
Well said. And to think this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
With a new album out and this massive tour on the horizon.
Right.
I think only scratching the surface of what Lainey Wilson is capable of.
I completely agree. She's a force to be reckoned with, and I can't wait to see what she does next.
All right, before we get too carried away predicting the future, let's bring it back to the present.
Right.
And talk about how people can actually see Lainey Wilson live.
Yes.
We mentioned Vivid Seats earlier.
Right.
Can you remind our listener about them?
Of course, Vivid Seats is a great resource for finding tickets to all sorts of live events, including concerts.
Right.
They're a reputable platform with a wide selection of tickets, often at competitive prices.
And they're the official ticketing partner of the New York Post, which gives them some serious credibility.
Right. So if you're thinking about catching Lainey Wilson on tour, Vivid Seats is definitely a good place to start.
Okay.
And hey, if you're enjoying this deep dive into Lainey Wilson's world, why not hit that like button and subscribe to the deep dive for more explorations into all sorts of fascinating topics.
Do it.
We'd love to have you join our community of curious minds.
All right, back to Lainey.
Okay.
I was thinking about those set lists we've seen from some of her recent shows.
Yeah.
A healthy mix of old and new. It must be a thrill for longtime fans to hear those early songs alongside the new hits.
Absolutely. It's a great way to honor her roots while also showcasing her growth as an artist.
And speaking of growth, I noticed she's been incorporating some interesting covers into her set list.
Oh, yeah.
A little George Strait here.
Right.
A classic like Ghostwriters in the Sky there.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
I think those covers are a great way to add variety and show off her versatility.
Yeah.
It's like she's saying, hey, I can do this too.
Yeah, and she does it well.
She does.
I especially love her rendition of Wildflowers and Wild Horses.
Oh, yeah.
Such a powerful song, and it feels even more meaningful coming from her.
It's a perfect fit for her, both thematically and musically. It speaks to her free spirit and her connection to nature.
Okay, so we've got the album, the tour, the festivals, the set list.
Wow.
I think we've covered pretty much every angle of Lainey Wilson's whirlwind world.
We've gone deep.
But before we wrap up,
I
want to circle back to that question we posed earlier
Okay.
about Lainey Wilson's place in the current country music landscape.
Yes.
What do you think her success says about the evolution of country music and its growing appeal to a wider audience?
I think it's a sign that country music is becoming more inclusive and open to different sounds and influences.
It's not just about twang and banjos anymore.
Exactly. There's room for artists like Lainey Wilson who are pushing boundaries and blending genres.
And she's doing it with authenticity and heart.
That's the key. She's not trying to fit into any mold. She's just being herself, and that's what makes her so relatable and appealing.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see an artist like Lainey Wilson making such a big impact both within country music and beyond. I think she's inspiring a whole new generation of artists to be themselves and to make the music they want to make.
I agree, and that's a good thing for country music.
Yeah.
It needs that fresh energy and those diverse voices to stay relevant and to connect with new audiences.
Absolutely. Okay, well, before we officially wrap up our deep dive, let's leave our listener with something to chew on.
All right.
If you were to describe Lainey Wilson's journey in a single word, what would it be?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
But I think I'd go with authentic.
Okay.
Everything about her, from her music to her personality to her style, just feels genuine and true to herself.
I love that. And I think that's what makes her so special. She's not trying to be anyone else. She's just being Lainey.
Right.
And that's enough.
More than enough.
Yeah.
She's a breath of fresh air in a genre that can sometimes feel a bit formulaic.
Well said.
Wow.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From Lainey Wilson's background.
Yeah.
And the critical acclaim for Whirlwind to the sheer scale of her upcoming tour and the diverse lineups at these festivals.
For sure.
We even dove into the set list. and talked about the significance of those covers.
It's been a whirlwind of information, but hopefully we've given our listener a deeper understanding of who Lainey Wilson is and what makes her such a compelling artist.
Absolutely. So as we leave our listener to ponder the evolving landscape of country music and Lainey Wilson's place within it, what's your final thought for them?
My final thought is this. If you haven't already, check out Lainey Wilson's music. And consider seeing her live if you have the chance. She's the real deal. And I think she's only going to get bigger and better from here.
Couldn't agree more. And remember, you can find all the tour dates and ticket information on Vivid Seats.
You can.
So if you enjoyed this deep dive into Lainey Wilson's world, be sure to like and subscribe to The Deep Dive.
Please do.
For more explorations into all sorts of fascinating topics.
You love exploring.
You're always diving deep into something new and exciting.
We are.
So hit that subscribe button and join us on the journey.
We'd love to have you.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
See ya.